Have you ever wondered, how do you deal with thoughts that are really not good? The thoughts that come to you that you know you don't want to have, the thoughts that tend to flood your mind when maybe you're, wanting to actually do something that's not good, or you feel bad about something and you just continually are thinking about it. You don't know why you're thinking about it. You don't know why it keeps coming back. You don't know why it keeps coming up. Have you ever been in a situation where even just you try to rest, you try to close your eyes, and yet these same things keep coming back to you? You can't get your mind off of it. And over again, you're just almost haunted by these thoughts that you just wish would stop, that you wish would go away. Well, I want to talk to you about how to begin to change that and use thoughts to your advantage versus your disadvantage. Now, when we think about a dark thought, let me go to my whiteboard for a minute. And for purposes of our discussion today, let's say that a dark thought, right, just means a thought in which something is negative, or something that's negative, something that is, challenging, something that's bad in some way. If we think about light, like a light thought, something more positive, something more optimistic, something good, right? So when we think about light and dark, we're more talking about another way of looking at this is that light can also be seen as a symbol of being enlightened, right? To have more understanding about something, to have more knowledge about something, right? So we think about the term enlightenment. We see light is in that word, right? So we want to have a certain level of enlightenment about things that stops us from being in a dark place in our mind. Now, one of the things we have to know and we have to understand is that we are made up of thoughts. And so when you think about why we are thinking a certain way, right? We think about even darkness. One thing that, again, is very important, and from a spiritual perspective or even a biblical perspective, we know that darkness can be seen as a lack of understanding something, a lack of understanding. And a lot of times when we have dark thoughts, it's because we lack understanding about the best way to view that situation. So when you think about us as individuals, right, and we have, different things that are coming through our mind, right, and let's make this a little bit more challenging, right, and we get all these different, thoughts that, cloud our mind, right? Now, keep in mind, we've got, 70,000 thoughts in a day normally, right? And a big portion of these, if we're not careful, can be more dark. Let's say that's in red versus thoughts that are more positive, right? So we have to evaluate, right, the actual thought pie, if you will, to understand what percentage of my thoughts are dark versus light, right? Good versus bad, positive versus negative, right? We have to understand this. Now, one of the things that we want to understand when we think about how we might struggle with how we're thinking about things, and it's impacting our relationship, it's impacting our job, it's impacting our ability to function, it's overwhelming us. Well, one of the things that we have to start to do is we want to understand that there is a whole separate thing that begins to affect the thoughts, which is the environment that I am in. And this is why so many people struggle and they're not able to understand how to control their thoughts, is because they are focusing on trying to actually change, right? Trying to change these thoughts, right? But ignoring the environment that oftentimes helps to create thoughts. So, for example, if I am in an environment where everybody is smoking all the time, okay, and I don't want to smoke, if I wasn't witnessing these people smoking all the time, this is a thought I would not have even got. But because I'm in an environment in which this is always around, then I'm going to get thoughts about something. I still don't have to do it, but I'm going to get thoughts about it because of the environment I'm in. If I'm trying to eat more healthy, but I'm surrounded in an environment where people are not being healthy, I'm going to get thoughts and temptations regarding that because of the environment I'm in that is more conducive for that. Now, some things we have that's not, even though we have environment that can influence us, we can also have an mental environment. And that mental environment can be shaped by things that have already happened, right? So maybe there's things that happened in the past or different trauma that I've been through that shape my mental environment. Despite the overall environment that I'm in, there's a mental environment I have that is generating certain thoughts that I tend to get. So this is a process that is always going on. Now, when we look at, let's take a different approach here, and let's think for a minute about light. Light means that I can get more understanding and knowledge about something. So one of the things that, back to our individual here, right? And we want to begin to grow. We want to begin to think about, how can I get access to new information, new experiences, right? And a lot of times this new information and new experiences all can begin to happen in new environments. So what's so powerful about environments is they're able to create experiences, provide new information that I wouldn't have had I just stayed in my own environment. So what I have to do is I want to get into new environments to give me new experiences and new information. And through that, it creates a new opportunity to think different, a new opportunity to consider things I didn't consider before. So this is why I often talk about this equation, right? Think leads to what I feel, which leads to what I do, okay? But it is environment that helps a lot of times to shape what I'm thinking. Now, this new issue of what's already in my mental environment, despite the environment that I'm in, that kind of comes with my thinking. So what I have to begin to learn how to do is to start to attack my thoughts by realizing that there is not this whole situation of thinking, feeling, and doing is not something that I have to allow to happen just that way. So I can decide that I actually want to do something different, right? So this is a decision. This is a decision to do despite how I feel, which is normally the catalyst for what we do. So I start to do despite how I feel. And at first, the feeling is going to be a feeling of challenge, right? But you do it anyway. And then I'm going to get thoughts of challenge. Why are you doing something you don't want to do, right? Until what I'm doing, after a while, I begin to go through this process, right? I start eating how I should eat despite how I feel. I start being around people that I need to be around despite maybe things that I'm not used to being around with their personality or whatever, but there's something overall that they have that is better. I can learn from them. I get skills from them. I can get knowledge from them, right? And what happens, you keep doing this, and after a while, you start to take control of this process and you get new thoughts based on what you've been doing. Those new thoughts give you new feelings, right? And now you begin to do new things. Here's a key: without it being a challenge. And this is the process we have to go through to move from dark to light. So there still is a decision we have to make, not a choice that just has option, but we want to, decision means to cut, right? I have to be willing to cut off the things that have been keeping my mind in the wrong place, the things that are always causing me to feel a certain way. I have to cut that off and decide. This is the hardest part, is deciding to do the thing that I need to do despite how I feel, because once I do that, I open a whole new door of opportunity. So keep this in mind. This is what it's all about. Make a decision that you want to live in the light to get away from the darkness. Until next time, keep on shining bright by first thinking in the light.